So today we've come back to the BOS Plant here in the middle of Port Talbot Steelworks. Can't tell you how excited it is to be back here. I think the last time I came was with Peter Jones, the project manager for the melt shop part of the Invictus programme, when he was running us through all of the work that was in front of us back then in the summer. So here we are in December, and we've come back inside the BOS Plant, which has always frankly been a bit like a cathedral. The size of it is quite overwhelming, and I guess what's in front of us is now largely a shell, but there's a lot of work going on. I'm joined by an old buddy of mine, Chris Scourfield. Chris, you're project engineer on this enabling works here in the steel plant. It's difficult to know where to start, Chris, to be honest, but tell us a bit about what we can see or what we can't see in front of us. What work's been going on here?
Okay, originally this was probably the busiest part of steel and slab, where the iron came up from the blast furnaces.
Yeah.
And it came in onto 2 tracks, multiple torpedoes on weighing. So the first process was to remove the travelling fume hoods, which gathered the fume to keep the environment clean. And then we had the weighing scales, very, very heavy duty industrial weighing scales. We've removed those from the floor, which when you look down at the floor now, you'll see these additional 5, 6 big holes in the floor where the weighing scales used to be. Yeah. So those holes will be filled in and completed by Skanska in the future, along with the hot metal pits, which are due to be filled with ballast in about spring of next year. We would have done it now, but I think time was against us with the work ongoing with the south charger crane removal.
Yeah. And it's difficult, isn't it? Because I know you could talk to me for an hour about all the stuff that's going on here, because it's been going on for quite a long time. But so you've talked a bit about the rails come up, the pits have been are due to be filled in. On the left, as we look down the bay here, there was a load of kit here, wasn't it? A desal station and some other stuff. Tell us what's gone from there.
So right in front of us now were the hot metal desal stations, north and south. And we've been working on removal of them from May until the early part of this month on the 1st. Yeah. And it was a huge task, which MAI completed along with Runtech very successfully without any incident. So we've now effectively taken it back to the floor level. Yeah. And that area now will in the future become a huge storage area for refractories, for ladles and for the shell of the EAF.
Yeah. And there's still more work to do here, clearly, and we'll touch on that in a bit. But just explain to people, why are we clearing this area? What's it going to be used for in the future?
So this area now, the hot metal bay as it was, is going to be the new EAF shell workshop area, where they'll have the shell and the lower part of the shell along with the roof. So there are huge stands which will be provided by Tata, where these pieces of equipment will sit. There'll be a wrecking station, and there'll be a huge platform which is about 7-8 meters tall, which will be situated where we are now between the 2 hot metal pits. Yeah. This area then will take over the function of maintenance for the key elements of the electric arc furnace, which will be changed periodically on 2 week and depending on the work, will take longer and will be here in the workshop for longer periods. Yeah,
because of course we're standing on the stage as was in front of the steel converters. Yeah. The electric arc furnace is going to be at the south end, and hopefully you'll take us down to have a look at that. But as the shell gets replaced, as you said, it'll come down this end. Now the other thing I noticed when you come in here is so tempting to look at all the work going on at the floor level and the stuff that's coming out along the sides. What people will probably do less of is look up. Correct. Because when we look up, the crane's down at the moment, but when we came in a bit earlier, the crane was fully extended to the roof. What's going on there?
Okay, so there's a lot of preparation work going on with the south charging crane now for its removal in the early part of next year. We are opening up, the crane's gang got a huge task ahead of them, and it's really well advanced and well planned and programmed. They will be opening the roof to allow a huge crane to be erected outside, which will then pick the crane up, take it away, bring it down onto the floor for its removal. That process will be ongoing now for about up until I think about May next year. Yeah. Which is when that has been a milestone that we've had to try and achieve to do our work, so that the cranes team are going to be able to progress and start their work.
Yeah, the scale of this project is just unbelievable, and the fact you've got a whole cranes team and a whole programme of cranes work to go on at the other end, and you're taking out the old south charger crane through the ceiling, a bit like the north charger crane came in through the ceiling. And you know, people who don't know the steel industry well might get confused when we talk about one crane and another crane. Yep. But to be clear, the charger cranes, which used to pick up the ladles and will in the future, are girder cranes, so they sit across the ceiling. That's it. Whereas the cranes that's going to be outside to take it in, I don't know what you call them, but it's a thing that points up in the air, isn't it?
It's a huge undertaking. It normally takes them about 4 or 5 days just to erect the crane, you know. And so when you take in the time for erection and the time for removal, the actual removal of the crane is small period of time. It's just it is heavily relies on the cranes team to get everything prepared so that when they go for the lift, weather conditions dictating as well, they can do it as swiftly and as efficiently as possible.
So before we go down the south end and see what work's been going on there, Chris, what happens next here before it's kind of ready for building rather than deconstructing, I guess?
Okay, so as I understand it at the moment, the new equipment from Tata is going to be shipped in February, and that will land here in April next year.
Wow.
So we will need to get all of this workshop preparation area. Skanska will have to prepare the floor area. We'll be filling the pits in so that they have a good working surface to carry that on. Gareth Price is the construction manager dealing with all that, and again, Gareth is tremendously versed in what he needs to do there. And again, we are working to their deadlines to ensure that when we'll be following that, delivering and coming across on the water day by day. And then when we need to get it all ready here for the delivery of that shell.
Yeah, it's an amazing amount of work still to go on, but it's so impressive what's going on. Kind of sad that so much stuff has gone, but when you've got the light at the end of the tunnel, which is a brand new steelmaking process, it kind of makes that a bit softer to bear, doesn't it?
Some of the stuff that I've been working on taking out, I was instrumental in installing 35 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, so it is tough, like, you know. Some people might find this pretty sad, but it's been a massive part of my life.
Before we get all romantic about it, can you take us down the south end?
Yes.
And let's see what work's been going on down there, which is where the arc furnace is going,
Not a
of course.
problem.
Fantastic. Let's go.
Great.
We've come down to the south end. It was a bit of a circuitous route to get here to be able to see over the work that's going on here. This is an area controlled by Sir Robert McAlpine, the chief contractor. Almost unrecognisable, frankly, from what was here before. We'll try and get some shots to show the viewers exactly what's going on here, but tell us a bit about what was here and what work's going on to date.
Okay, so on the right-hand side here now used to be the charging bay where we had two-way bridges, and it was the main inlet area for all the scrap that was supplied by Harsco for many, many years.
Yeah.
So the scrap would be loaded externally, brought in on skips, on bogies, and picked up by the charger cranes at this end of the bay, at the north end of the bay. And the extreme north end used to have two large stands, which we maintained all of the ladles, whether it be teaming ladles or hot metal ladles. So they'd go down in there for any plate work, any shell work.
And the bay in front of us here was the workshops, is that right?
Yeah,
and on the left is the teaming
Right in front
bay.
of us is the mechanical workshop where we did most of the, if not all of the repairs on the sub-lances and the main lances, renewing nozzles and etc.
Yeah.
And then the far left-hand side is where the teaming bay is, which had all of the secondary steelmaking vessels and the preheaters for the vessels, all the way down right to the right-hand side where we re-bricked them, maintained them, for many, many years, and all of that has been stripped out now.
Yeah, and just for reference points, so we can just about see through the shed there some sort of gravellings outside. That's where we were only last week talking to Nathan Jones from SRM about where the scrap shed used to be.
Yeah.
And he was talking about coming inside this shed and making all of this level.
Yep.
So that's the reference point where the blue hooded scrap bay was. On the left, the teaming bay, that's where the ladle metallurgy furnaces are going to be going. Is that right?
That's correct. The two ladle metallurgy furnaces will be going toward the south end of the plant, which used to be a largely open area where we used to have ladle vessel, RD vessel and RH vessel repairs.
Yeah. And where is, I guess, the key question, where's the electric arc furnace going as we look over this area?
In relation to this here now, the electric arc furnace is going to be going directly over into the southwest corner.
Yeah.
That part of the bay there, the extreme south end of this charging bay, and the ladle metallurgy furnaces are going to be at the south end of the teaming bay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of rail works to go in here for the transfer cars and the ladles. But I know it's an empty shed, but you can start to see how this is going to work now already.
Indeed, you can. It does take some thinking if you haven't seen some blueprints, but I've not been directly involved with the layout, but I know that where we have the EAF going in the charging bay, there's going to be a main artery track coming in and joining what we know now as the recycle track. And in the teaming bay, where we'll have the two ladle metallurgy furnaces, there'll be two separate transfer car tracks, which will also come up to meet the other transfer car tracks going into the caster.
Yeah, because we've just had a peer over the balcony into the teaming bay, and there's a gigantic hole there. Looks like a bomb's gone off, frankly. What's going on there?
Yes, it does look like an ordnance has gone off there. That is actually the remnants of the pit, which is to house the RH vessel, RHD gasser transfer car pit. So that area has just been dug away, the concrete walls, and what we are looking at now is just a natural slope they ended up digging in order to take the base out. Yeah,
because all the work, there's a lot of work going on down there, and we can see some old trench sheeting and stuff. But the work here, I'm assuming, is to get this ready to have some fairly big kit in there. So you're talking about some piling needing to go in all across all of this area?
I think all the way across the plant now, through the charging bay, the converter bay and the teaming bay, there's going to be a massive piling done on a grid with a piling mat to get it all the floor, the same level throughout.
Yeah, listen, Chris, thanks for bringing us down here and showing us North End, South End. As I said, it's starting to take shape, even though we're still in the sort of preparation enabling works area. Now that the walls have come down, now that the old kit has gone out, you're starting to see the framework within which the new electric arc furnace steelmaking can start to happen. Lots of work still to be done. It's been brilliant to see you again. Always a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for bringing us here and for your time.
Enjoyed it.
And we'll come back and see you again shortly.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Chris.
Great.